All right, if you were one of the millions swept up in the phenomenon that was Vampire Survivors, you've probably been asking yourself, what could developer Poncle possibly do next? Well, the answer is finally here, and it is absolutely not what anyone expected. Today, we're diving deep into their brand new spin-off, Vampire Crawlers.
I mean, really, just think about this question for a second. It seems to be the exact one Poncle asked themselves. You need to forget everything you know about just, moving your character around and letting the weapons fire on their own. This is a total, ground-up reimagining of that core idea, from a completely different point of view.
So, the game just dropped today, April 21st, 2026. Vampire Crawlers really does take the soul of the original, but it wraps it in an entirely new and frankly, much more intense package. The real question is, just how different are we talking?
Well, the difference is pretty much night and day. On the left, you've got the original Vampire Survivors. We all know it, we all love it, that classic isometric view, the simple one-stick controls, you just move, that's it. But on the right, Vampire Crawlers literally throws you right into the heart of the action in first person. Now you gotta aim, you gotta shoot, and you have to think on your feet in a completely new way.
And that leads us to the core of what makes this game tick. See, it's not just a first-person shooter set in the Vampire Survivors world. Oh no, Poncle has gone and mashed up 3 totally different genres here. You've got your FPS, your roguelite, and a deck builder. So how on earth does all that fit together?
Okay, so picture this. Each run is about 20 to 30 minutes long. And just like the original, you're fighting off these insane hordes of enemies. But instead of just leveling up and picking a new weapon, you are constantly collecting cards. These cards define your weapons, your abilities, everything. You have to build your deck and make these split-second strategic choices, all while you're dodging and weaving and shooting in real time. It's chaotic in the best way possible.
And trust me, this card system goes deep. We're talking over 90 unique cards, and they're split into 6 different categories. Of course, you've got your basics, like weapon and defense cards, but then you've got mobility cards to help you zip around, utility cards for all sorts of crazy special effects, and even these high-risk, high-reward curse cards. The variety is just huge.
But the real magic, the secret sauce, is in the synergy system. This is where the game's strategy just comes alive. When you combine specific cards, you can unlock these incredibly powerful new effects. Like, for example, if you manage to pair the Fire Bullets card with the Explosive Rounds card, you unlock the Inferno Chain synergy. Suddenly, your bullets are setting enemies on fire and causing these massive chain reactions. Chasing these synergies is what every run is all about.
Look, doing a complete 180 like this is always a massive gamble for a developer. So the big question is, did it actually pay off? Well, the results from the public demo they ran were, to put it mildly, pretty staggering.
Just get a load of this. The free demo they put out during the Steam Next Fest was downloaded more than 500,000 times. That is a massive signal of just how much players were interested, and it shows you how much goodwill the original game built up for Poncle.
And it wasn't just idle curiosity either. People absolutely loved what they played. The demo earned an average user score of an incredible 9 out of 10. That's a huge vote of confidence from the community for this wild new direction.
And digging into the reviews, a whopping 95% of them were positive. Players were just raving about the strategic depth and how good the combat felt. It really confirms that Poncle's ambitious risk totally connected with their audience.
Okay, so we know the reception is fantastic and the concept is super cool. Now let's get down to the practical stuff. How much does it cost and where can you actually get your hands on it?
While sticking to the spirit of the original, Poncle has kept the price incredibly fair and accessible. The game is launching at just $9.99 across all platforms. For what looks like dozens and dozens of hours of replayability, that is a steal.
And it's pretty much everywhere. PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch. Plus, they've got mobile versions planned for the near future. But here's the really big news. It's available day one on Xbox Game Pass. So if you're a subscriber, you can literally download and play it right now for no extra cost.
Now make no mistake, this is not just some little one-off experiment. Poncle has been very clear that Vampire Crawlers is just the first step in a much bigger plan to expand the whole Vampire Survivors universe into a multi-game ecosystem.
And they are not wasting a single second. Their roadmap for 2026 is wild. So Vampire Crawlers is their big Q2 release. But then they're already planning another spin-off in a totally unannounced genre for Q3, and they're even teasing a potential multiplayer game for the end of the year. This is a massive, massive expansion plan.
So let's try to boil this all down. On the one hand, the pros are super clear. You've got this incredibly deep strategic gameplay thanks to the deck building, the FPS combat is fast and feels great, and the replayability is through the roof. On the other hand, it definitely has a steeper learning curve than the original, and of course, being a brand new game, it just doesn't have as much content at launch as Vampire Survivors does after years of updates.
And this all brings us to one final really interesting thought. Instead of just making Vampire Survivors 2 with, more of the same, Ponkel took this huge creative swing, building a completely new game in the same universe. So, what do you think? Is this bold, genre-mashing approach the future for how successful indie devs follow up their biggest hits?